My name is Kenneth Bird. My company is Black Series Edition LLC. Our second company we're working on right now is our exotic collection, and that is part of the screen paints. We're coming up with all these weird, crazy colors. All right, so let's talk about what's needed for real business, because again, we get people out there who really have no clue whatsoever or some of the things you need to get started in a real business. Patents, and we get this all the time from individuals that are a little frustrated and angry with what they're doing. But again, they'll explain something to you. Patents are there to protect your product. A patent does not mean that your business is not legit or not. It just means that the item either has protection or not. That's what the patent is for. Same thing like copyrights. Copyrights protects your artwork and so forth, what you have, drawings, music, artwork, that's what it's for. Copyrights, if a person doesn't have copyrights on a product, does not make their company not legit. The company can be legit with or without copyrights or patents. What you will need is you will need an EIN number. You will have to have a license to sell your product within that state. And you also should have an LLC attached to your company. The LLC, and also you need a DBA, which I'm filling out the rest of the forms for the DBA. The DBA was interesting because apparently when I went to go file for my EIN number, they refused it because they said that I already had one. So I'm thinking that if you got a EIN number or your tax number, or tax ID number, or tax identification number, we're going to pull it, you have to have what's the word for it? I can't think of the name for it. You have to have the EIN for the LLC, and if you want to do a license, you have to have a DBA. If I'm saying that correctly. I think there's a license for DBA. Let me see if I got that right. Online services we applied for here. I think it is a DBA. You need a DBA and an EIN number to obtain a business license. That's what you need. So I was able to go in and track down the EIN number, which I had to contact the IRS, and the IRS basically was able to reinstate the old name that I had on my my business tax ID number over to the new one under Black Series Edition. So you need those to have a legit company. But copyrights protect the product. That's what it does. So again, I can't explain this to people at the end of the day. And first things first, you don't have a real business. I can tell you that from the door, you don't have it. Like I said before, patents, and when someone says, "Oh, you don't have a real business because you don't have patents," well, we have patents. We have patent provisions, and we have what do you call patent pendings. If you know how they work and you don't know how they work, it literally takes time for all that paperwork to go through. It has to go through. Attorneys have to look over it. They have to do a search to see if anybody has that information or whatever. And then from there, basically, it's sent to the government, where the government will take and go through and see whether or not if you are basically eligible for this paperwork. Now, as it's going through, you get updates telling you when this is going on and so forth, but you're not going to have it overnight. And if anyone tells you to have it overnight, they clearly do not know or never filed one before a day in their life. So, no, that's not going to happen. You will not even receive an ID number. You won't receive anything until it is finalized with the United States government and they send that back to you. Then you will have that number to obtain. But other than that, no. That's why if you go to the Chris Widge site, which we have over here, we have a copyright that we filed for that company's logo. You will see, if I got it here, my page here. Let me see if we got it here on the Chris Widge. There we go. Let's see. Go to our demonstration page. You will see my logo pop up. And under my logo, you will see my copyright. This is my copyright. You don't get these overnight. This has to be, first you have to file out the form. You can have an attorney do it. You can do it yourself. Then after you file out the form, then what happens is it goes over to the attorneys. They look over everything to make sure all the paperwork, everything is correct before they submit it to the government. Then the government has to look over to it. The attorney's going to do a search. The government's going to do a search to see how many people have the name, if anybody owns the right to it, because they can't issue paperwork if somebody owns it already. And then when it goes through that process, then they have to go through their own process to get it ready, get it instated, get it locked in before they can send it to you. So it means you will not get that number at the top, which we have right down here. You will not get that number, that ID number, for a while until all the paperwork is done. So the Black Series edition started on November the 2nd. That's when we first made our first sale. Because now we're doing taxes. We have to be to show the initial date of when we first started making income all the way until the fiscal year, which is on December the 31st, is when we have to have a report in for everything we've made. If you haven't been doing your taxes, Uncle Sam is going to audit you, and that's what's going to happen to you. And in order for you to get those tax forms and everything to report them, you need something called an EIN number. If you don't have that, you can't even obtain an LLC, and you need that also too for a DBA. So this confuses some people who are basically calling themselves doing business and you don't know exactly what I'm saying. That means at the end of the day, you have never filed any of this paperwork to begin with, because I know about this stuff because I've filed this stuff before from previous companies. This is something you have to have. So again, when you're contacting me and saying, hey, you have to have a patent, you have no, that doesn't, that protects your company. That's what that's for. You need to have this paperwork, a business license, number one, to be able to sell in your state. You can get in trouble if you don't have a business license to sell in your state. Number two, you have to have an EIN number. You have to have one of those because, again, you have to report your wages to the IRS. On top of that, as I said before, you should have an LLC attached to your company. You definitely should have that right there from the door. You don't have that information at all, period. If I requested your tax information, you couldn't even give me that. And that shows clearly at the end of the day that you haven't been paying Uncle Sam to earn anything. You haven't been paying that, guess what? You can get audited, as I said before. So before you go screaming off to anybody saying, oh, they don't have a business, don't have me request your documents. Because we have ours. Y'all don't have yours. I'm pretty sure you don't have them at all, period. So again, copyrights, patents, don't declare whether a company exists or not. It's just basically showing a form that the product is protected by the government. That's what it shows. That's what it's for. Your EIN number, LLC, DBA, all that stuff you're going to need basically to file for all these different multiple forms, which I had to go through. That's what you're going to need. And the most important number you're going to have is that EIN. You're definitely going to have that because all the forms require it, including the license, which requires two of them, which is a DBA, and it also requires an EIN. They're probably sitting there scratching their like, what the freak is he talking about? I have no idea what he's talking about. Yeah, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, that clearly states already from the door you don't know what you're doing. But you're supposed to have that license. Let me see. Let me go over to, you need even more if you're doing business offline, you need it even more. So what I just showed you in the thumbnail, that is my application through LegalZoom where I have obtained the agreement for the EIN and my business license. I didn't show you my reference numbers because we don't show off the reference numbers until everything is finalized, and we'll show off our reference numbers. All right, there we go. So let me see. So the next time, we have people, like I said, like that, then the day when sit there and say, oh, your business is not legit because you don't have proper paperwork. And I'm pretty sure you don't have a license to sell. I guess I can show this right here. I also have a tax attorney too, I'm about to get me an accountant soon. So right there, see right there, those are my documents right there for my LLC that I applied for. And in order for me to get the LLC, you need an EIN. Am I saying that right? EIN? Is that right? EIN. You need an EIN number, which means you have to have a tax ID number. And you do not have a tax ID number, which means you never registered your company or business or whatever at the end of the day. Well, first things first, you got to get over that little hill of basically having products not matching house paint. Because if you can't get that passed first, there's going to be a problem right there when it comes down to basically applying for a freaking patent pending or a provisional patent. You're going to have an issue. I got to set up for my tax finances too. I got to get that done too, which pretty much, it's not that hard to basically pay taxes. It's not hard to do at all, period. Once you apply, basically, they're going to have to know how the proper, it's not only that, let me put it this way. Not only are you going to fill out this paperwork, you're going to have to understand the paperwork. It is quite complicated, but if you've never done it before, it is going to be a nightmare for you. I'm not saying anybody else. Some people may figure it out, some people don't. Judging by these individuals, they can't basically do a proper website explaining the products that they are selling on their site, and they can't back up the theory of the products that they are making. You're going to have an extremely difficult time trying to get through this, especially a few other people, like I said, that can't. Man, they're gonna have a rough time. Who have a difficult time reading and doing math. They're gonna have issues on those forms, and those forms are lengthy that you have to fill out through. They want to know what kind of entity your company is, whether or not it's basically a corporate company, is it basically is a proprietorship, is it there's so many questions they're going to ask you on that one, and it's going to be uphill, but it can be done. Just saying, you're just going to have to get it done. That's all. Where is my, okay, it's already there. I was looking at something right over here for it's my LLC for that one. I got attorney support on both of those. I got tax services too. I got to go contact them too. I got some other stuff I want to do today too. My documents, where are my documents at? Matter of fact, I need to be in my, oh, these are all activated now. Okay, yeah, because it tells me I can get to these accounts before I can get into these accounts, because again, everything was going through the government. Let's see, that goes in the files. Okay, let's see. Can I go with, let me see. Can I go with my orders? Purchases. This is what I've ordered so far. Yeah, but this is bugging me out. All right, I got a call for this today because it's asking me to activate this now. This is my one of my LLCs that I applied for. This is already activated, full detail. This is one of the LLCs. So, okay, that must be the first one, but I'm going to contact about this one too to make sure that LLC is activated. Legal protection. That's with my LLC already there. Tax analyst, which I also too paid for basically, I do my own taxes, but I do also too have an analyst to go everything. Oh, I forgot that's like an accountant. I can actually print all that information out too for something something we're looking at right now. Basic LLC, that's all done, that's finished. EIN number obtain. So next time I'm going to request your EIN numbers. You understand that? See right there? That shows you there's my EIN number obtained, which means I have a tax ID license. You don't have one of those. So I'm going to be requesting for, sorry to put your names out here, fellows, but you call yourself selling and making a product and you call yourself a real company, Crow and Partey. I'm requesting your taxes, your tax forms. I'm also requesting your EIN number, DBA, also to, what he needs right there, EIN obtained. He definitely has to have one of those, and your licenses. Don't call people out at the end of the day. Sometimes I ignore this stuff. I ignore a lot of this stuff when you're constantly hounding me about copyrights and patents. Again, you don't know anything because that does not make a company. That basically protects the product. You have to have a license and you have to show that you are paying your taxes. That's what you have to show. And if you have that, I can report your company. So maybe that might be the reason why things are disappearing on people's accounts left and right, because they're trying to hide their business because they don't want it to be known. If you want to talk about a real company at the end of the day, I'll pull your documents. Let me see. Switch to personal orders. Personal orders. We have trademark we're doing today. And we have to do a provisional patent for the we apply for that for the what's it called? The ad tech technology. We're actually applied for that. Completed right here is my, see right there, patent provisional application copyright completed. So you guys are idiots at the end of the day. You don't know anything about business. You don't. We know the other one doesn't know anything about business. He couldn't even add up his his finances correctly. He ended up owing money to his own company and has a website that he literally has to keep maintained because he can't pull that site down because it'll look pretty bad if he does. So he doesn't even make enough money in order to be. He probably not even make enough money for. You still have to report it either way. If you're making a sale, you got to report it, but still, you don't make enough for it. And the other one, we know you don't have that information from the door. If you can't basically spell proper, you can't do it. If you can't spell correctly in your own website and you don't know how to add it at the end of the day, there's no way in the world you're getting through all that paperwork by Uncle Sam. So we both know you don't have the paperwork, but we do. So if you see right there, a provisional patent application. That's for our technology. Dummies. When you sit there and contact me, you don't have so-and-so. Yeah, we have that information. You think I'm stupid at the end of the day? If I take the time to go in and fill out copyrights, which we can show on our pages, if I take the time to put in detailed information on my website, if I take the time to test my products, which we don't see a lot of people doing, what makes you think I didn't go in and do my paperwork? There you go. Now we see people cutting corners, they're not doing things correctly. We know at the end of the day, they don't have the paperwork supporting their company. They don't have it. But there's right there is provisional patent. Now, when you file for a provisional patent, you have two ways you can go about it, or a patent pending. You could basically make it in public records, or you can make it not in public records. All of our stuff we have is not in public records at all, period. Copyrights may pop up, but that's basically about it. But this time around, we made everything where it was not be to be able to look up in public records. So right there, there's my freaking order page right there showing you from LegalZoom of all my applications that I filed for, and all of them showing complete, which means I have paperwork. At the end of the day, you don't have paperwork at all. And as I said before, if you're going to call yourself a business, or the biggest joke of all, he actually wrote CEO. You're nowhere near a CEO. No. Anyway, you're not a legitimate business because you can't provide that information. That's why. It's a hobby. Just put it that way. It's just a hobby. That's all it is. That's a second copyright. This would be. See that right there? See where it says provisional patent application completed. Basic copyrights completed. Provisional patent completed. Those are our documents. And that's from LegalZoom. Excuse me about that, people. Now, again, you want to hound somebody at the end of the day like a little crybaby about how you got to show patents, you got to show copyrights, blah, blah, blah. There's my stuff right there. Now I'm requesting for your tax information. I'm also requesting for EIN number, a DBA, and LLC. What's the other one we need from them also too? A business license to sell in your state. That's what I'm requesting. Now, those pieces of information, patents and copyrights, again, don't make you a business. Basically, it protects your product. That's what it does. What I just told you a few minutes ago is what you definitely have to have. You need to have that. That's what makes your company a company. Now, I got a African-American business expo coming up for Black business owners, which are coming up pretty soon. My sister set the whole entire thing up. I get a chance to meet with the head CEO of that, excuse me, of that organization, and basically the paperwork we have here is needed. On top of that, pretty soon, for LLC, it's also finally completed, which has already been. We only have a little bit to go on that one. We'll be getting ready to get our company licensed and bonded. And that's another question I'm going to ask you. Are you licensed and bonded? Which you don't have. I don't show you this stuff right away because, again, like I said, it's not necessary. It's our business at the end of the day. But if I need to show you paperwork, I can show you paperwork. Now I'm requesting your tax information. I'm also requesting an EIN number. I'm requesting a DBA and showing you have license to sell in your state. And your company should have an LLC attached to it. Excuse me about that, people. That's what I'm requesting. More likely, I'm requesting the tax identification ID number or business hold tax ID number, one or the other. But never sit there and scream to me at the end of the day that my company is not legit. I can show you documents backing my work. You, at the end of the day, can't do that because you don't have a license. And judging by what I've read through your website, there's no way in the world you would be able to make out those forms. I mean, if he hired someone, he could do it, but on his own, no, he's no way in the world he's going to go through those forms. He probably doesn't know the difference between a sole proprietorship or basically an S corporation license. He probably doesn't know the difference between the two. And if you fill out that document incorrect, whoo, yeah, you're going to have some problems on your hands. They definitely will call you and question you on that. I made a mistake on when I first filed out an EIN number. I filed my EIN number out. How long have I had my number for? I've had it before I had this business. I had several different businesses, and I had it way before then. I had it when I was doing computers, when I was building computers. That's way back before I got into all this. And I made the mistake by putting in that I had employees by mistake. And they called me on that. They came down and they contacted me, had me come in. I sat down at the office, and this is with the IRS. And they want to know when I was reporting my earnings, how come I wasn't reporting what I was paying the employees? And I said, well, that would be a mistake because I work by myself. There's no way in the world I have any employees. There was two marked here. I said, well, that's basically a technical error right there. I don't have any. And they had to do a little research and whatever, and they didn't come back with anything. So they let it go. But yeah, they will basically contact you if you don't have this information. If you try to fake it, and these guys do a lot of faking at the end of the day, they fake their websites, they fake their products, they fake their test demonstrations. When they don't do tests, they fake everything. That is a form you don't mess around with. Go in there and play around in that form and put something in there that's not supposed to be in there, and they will call you on it. Try to be something that you're not. Type in there you have an S corporation or whatever you have. S corporation is a whole different world of filing. They will call you on this. They're not the ones to play around. So I understand you guys like to play around with people's money at the end of the day and not back your products at 100%, not do proper tests, cut corners, and do fake demonstrations. You're talking about the IRS. You don't mess around with them at the end of the day. So stick something in that document that's not legit and see what happens. You better be able to back it up. Also, too, when you do finally go through your patent pendings, they're going to request for all your ingredients, whatever's in there, they're going to request it on a document. If your stuff is just black and white paint, when they look on there, they're going to tell at the end of the day that something is wrong there. You better have a whole lot more ingredients in those documents in order for that to pass that. Because they look like black and white paint. They're not going to pass that. There's no way in the world is ever going to get a patent approved because, like I said, it's just going to show basically it's fraud. It's black and white paint. That's like basically if I'm selling water and sugar and I'm saying it's some kind of electrolytes energy drink that basically revives your in-gland sweat pores to basically cause more oxygen to consume into your body for a better heart rate. You know what they're going to do when they go through that thing? Like, what the freak? Sugar and water? No, you're going to get denied. You have to show that actually is legitimate formula. That's what you even know what kind of provisional patent you have to file. What number? You don't know any of that at all, period. There's several different provisional patents. It's like one's basically for chemicals, one's basically for what do you call it? The one for provisional patent. They get the one I can't stand. It's an engineer provisional patent. I can't stand that one. That's the one you have to break everything down and show from A to B. Like when they built this laptop, this computer, you have to go and have to break every single component down. They have to break components within components, have to be broken down, and they have to be numbered. So they have to take the entire machine, pull it apart, and they have to have a number for how each thing goes together, to how that connects to that and how that connects to that, and it has to be numbered in category. That's a freaking headache. I would pay someone to do that. I'm not doing that ever, especially when we come to the motorized projection screens. I am not going near that. But anyway, that's what you would need. But they're going to have to see if your stuff is even worthy to be considered to be a chemical patent, if you can get it. Some people have too much stuff in there and they can't even pass the safety, what they call it, the consumer safety. So basically there was a guy called Mississippi Man who basically had this paint that he made, and there was a lot of stuff in it that was extremely dangerous for the consumer. they will look over that and go, nope, you can't pass this due to the fact that this is going to cause some problems later on, maybe a couple of lawsuits. It can't be passed. So you can have stuff in there that literally could basically destroy your patent pending or your provisional patent. And those are provisional application patents we have over there. Do you know the difference between a provisional patent and patent pendings? They don't even know that either. So before you start running your mouth off about things you don't even know or don't even understand, I suggest you get the paperwork, get the documents, show proof that you have it. So that way you can have a conversation with Mr. Bird and not have to talk to you like a 3-year-old child with a sock puppet. Because you have no idea what you're talking about. If you go to anybody shouts out of their mouth that you have to have a patent and you have to have a copyright in order to have a legit business, no, you have no idea what you're talking about at all. You can Google it. I'm surprised everybody has all these technical phones with Google attached to it. You guys don't have the common sense to Google stuff. That does not make your company. That protects your company. Patents protect your company from people stealing your product and be able to reverse engineer your products. And copyrights are for music and art and so forth. That's what they're for. It does not make your company legit. What you need to make your company legit is the LLC, DBA, EIN number, and your license. That's what makes your company legit. Because if you go out and say you're doing, you need to get a permit to do an outdoor event or whatever you're doing, so and so and so, they're going to ask if your company's licensed. These are things they're going to require it for. They don't care whether or not you have a patent, and they don't care about your copyrights. They want to know if your company is an LLC, basically, if it's basically, if you have a license to operate and sell in that state that you're in. And so license and bond is one of the things that does pop up too. And those are things they're going to require, but they couldn't care less. You go to Uncle Sam and say, hey, look, I got a right to sell, I got a right to sell my state because I have a patent and I have a copyright. They're going to laugh in your face like, no, you need a license. And to get that license, you need 2 requirements, the DBA and you need an EIN to get it. To get an LLC, you need the EIN. All that ties in together. So you don't have that. We already know that from the door. And because you don't have that, you don't have a legit company. So your company's not real. It's basically a stack of cards. All right. Well, I'm glad we had that business talk. Let me go over here real quick. I got to go look through some stuff real quick. And with that being said, people, I'm done here. I got to get back to work. I have much to do. But just explaining to the 2 other people who call themselves making screen paint products, yeah, that's what you would need. And I'm requesting them today. Got to go, and bye-bye.